reporter can rewrite. Yeah. Well, that's what it is. I'll pick up another one of these, but they do remind me that it's about. Nope.
Oh, did I send the wrong one?
No. I think it was most news and stuff go to one section of my mail. So actually, the three amigos met, and immigration is part of their thing. But on the Mexican side, the president, at least the newspapers I read from Mexico, when I get to them, they're usually very unfriendly towards the president, towards their president. And in this case, they just keep on hammering him for saying he doesn't want anything to do. He basically wants to derail everything. Yeah, but that doesn't help the poor in Mexico. That's his angle all the time when he speaks. And so in this case, he would normally be against meeting with President Biden about things, but again, he does show up to a meeting on immigration. So nobody knows for sure what he's getting out of it, but since it's out of character with his regular rhetoric, something's going on. So anyway, and then this is the other article, which I think is the same speaking points of what happened over the weekend. Yeah. So any more comments on Title 42?
I really don't. I mean, to me, it's just a tool that's being used. It's even a sort of an inexact tool, but they're kind of sharpened it to work for what they want it to work for, and they're going to keep using it one way or the other, I think.
Yeah.
Well, and especially because now we have a new variant of the virus, which actually it could be used in the other way. That is, if it's a way to keep people that are sick to enter the country, in this case, it ought to be used by Mexico because the new variant is prevalent in the U.S. I heard that 70% of the cases in New York are the new variant. So Mexico shouldn't receive anybody.
Yeah.
Just to X42 on them for being sick. Anyway,
that makes sense.
Unlikely. I will actually be one of those. I should be in Mexico in a couple of weeks now. I'm this close to buying my tickets, so the end of the month will be in fairer weather.
Well, don't take any diseases with you.
Yeah. I'm actually stopping now. The flight that I'm seeing might stop in Orlando and then in Cancun before it takes me to Chihuahua, so I can always drop them off in different places. So I don't bring any to Chihuahua. I'll just drop them off.
Well, don't bring any back either.
Yeah.
We don't want
them. So anyway, that's in the news. What's the rest of the story? Carolyn, you were talking about energy or housing?
Oh, well, I've been kind of following and giving little PowerPoints on the energy rate hike. So, yeah, Sidlali at NAC was asked to do the Concobal program, or part of the program.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she kind of called me in a panic, like, this is really your thing. Can you come and so we were able to talk a little bit before the show, and it was just her on the show. She was doing the Spanish, and then they were translating to Concobal, but so I was kind of there moral support and to answer a few questions.
You were the content expert, let's just face it.
Yeah, but I'm not fluent in Spanish. And she speaks
really it doesn't matter. It's a content.
but I think she did a really good job, and Cora was also there.
Well, it's good to be informed, and I'm glad the Hankoval speakers have organized themselves in order to put that kind of information in the community.
Yeah.
As you know, I sent you my own
Mm-hmm.
Amarin bill to look at because I had followed your instructions, I'd seen it, but I wasn't quite sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm an English speaker, and I'm a pretty savvy person, but I did not want to be unsure.
Yeah. Well, I would say that most people, not just most immigrants, but most people in town don't know that they have three choices essentially for energy supply.
Hmm.
And most of us are ignorant about that. And so, and if you don't understand what the choices are, you can easily be tricked into a bad program.
Yeah.
Or in the case of one of my students, slammed without her knowledge or permission. And that's how I started on it, was working with that student. And then it just kept evolving, and it's going to hit people really hard because it's a huge increase.
It's an increase. Energy
Not of the whole,
expense is for everybody,
Yeah.
but especially for those that got slammed.
right, and it's not the whole Amarin bill; it's the energy supply portion of the energy bill. But I think gas is rising too, and has been.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Well, to bring that back to policy, one of the things that changed, when was it passed over the summer, was the energy, what are they called? Credits?
Oh.
They built into that big bill
Mhm.
money for being more renewable, or
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
and a piece of that info. And now I'm talking because both the housing and the energy developed into somebody needing some help. But that's when I was reminded that there is money for upgrading your house
Mhm.
energy usage, and that could include windows, water, a heat pump, and
Mhm.
other things.
Mhm.
And I think that is also one of those policy changes. Some people are aware of it, they apply and they get their credit, but the bottom part that's just worried about paying their bill don't get information about, in this case, getting help in offsetting the cost for new windows.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, and that hasn't been much publicized, at least locally. I mean, I've read about electric car help with buying electric cars, but I haven't read about the other.
yeah, I need to research it because I think it applies to all of us, and Mr.
Yeah.
Darcy's house certainly qualifies to get some kind of credit for investing on making your house more energy efficient.
Hmm.
And that's not just installing solar. My house doesn't qualify for solar, but
But you could do community solar. But that's based on the Amarin price. So if the Amarin price keeps getting up, the percentage you save on community solar is less.
yeah,
So you're better, well, time will tell if you're better off sticking with the municipal electric aggregation program or going community solar. That's unclear.
it's funny. The energy companies. I guess this is too far off on the left. I'll come back with that one. But when it comes to policy changes, victories or not, you know, at Congress, it doesn't come through to people.
Mhm.
I subscribe to the Reddit on immigration, and many of the questions that come up there are amazingly simple, even for a novice like me, in that people just don't know how the system works.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, there's both policy or law that's written, and a single person looks at it and just gets scared away because they have no idea. Yesterday, I met a person who had paid $200 for a lawyer to see their immigration case, Um, the lawyer said we'll have to do it through Zoom. The immigrant sent their money, and the lawyer no longer answers the phone.
Oh, so was it a real lawyer or not?
The lawyer, you know, the
Mhm.
the immigrant thinks this lawyer was in New York. Uh,
Oh,
so, how is an immigrant going to sue for $200 in New York?
yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
it's too late. He should have called me earlier, but as I talked with him, I realized that just this info just doesn't get to people.
Yeah, I mean, even during the worst of COVID, there was a lot of state money to help immigrants with, and not just immigrants, but people with utilities and rent and such. But unless they were in contact with the right people, either at NAC or at the Immigration Project, they wouldn't know about it.
They wouldn't know. So, it's hard. It's hard, I think, for immigrants not knowing, regular people also not knowing, and I've been wondering if there were a way for us to have. Uh, I mean, I enjoy our show quite a bit, uh, because it feeds me too as I research and you send me articles and I pay attention. But we are not speaking to the common immigration person.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I have a friend who runs a radio show in Salt Lake City. She's an immigration lawyer, and people call and ask. And of course, she always has to say, this is not legal advice for you. In general, that situation can be handled in one, two, three. And I've wondered if that wouldn't be a service that we could come up with. Uh, find money to pay the lawyer, and then we do the rest of the work. The lawyer's there as you were, as a content expert, but we take the time to explain X for the immigrant and newly arrived immigrant level in understanding the system and English, such that we could extend the policy to the street level understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what La Linea is trying to do, but you have to know about La Linea to call La Linea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they will handle the case. But I'm talking about mass education.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like we did a couple of years back. Just do a Facebook Live and do a maybe slide presentation, but talk about people's rights. In this case, talk about people's energy rights. Talk about what happens if your relative is caught at the Title 42 kind of deal. So that we might be able to take this level understanding, because often we think we understand the policy, but until we start looking at the nitty gritty with people's complications, it, as I heard earlier today, when we write the policy and the program, we think it looks really good, but it's the implementers that know how bad it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know. It's an idea I've had for a little while, given that many of the issues that we get. It's almost like now we're at the level where we know what a lot of the issues of the foreign born on that area have. We know those issues in housing or in health or in whatever else, but we have no way of massifying the answer to the issue.
Yeah, that's always the problem, though. How do you connect to people? Because they listen or don't listen to what they listen or don't listen to. And we'd have to go to those places. If we put together a show, we'd have to take it to a station or find a medium that people actually access, the people that you're trying to get to actually access. And I don't know that Facebook is that. I'm fairly certain that WRFU isn't that, or even WEFT. And then you have, who do you have left? It's the commercial stations, and they don't want to waste time with stuff like that because they're making money selling advertising. So,
and my students are going to Spanish speaking sites. They're not going to any of these Anglo sites.
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And my students trust me, but the average immigrant, it's like, who are you? You're just some white woman.
Well, just to counter those obstacles, on the one case, I used to buy radio time from commercial stations.
Mm-hmm.
So I buy an hour, and in that hour, we brought issues or answered questions, and people eventually started listening to us. And it was like a religious station. That is, they wouldn't normally, but because they knew there was something that they wanted, then they would tune in during that hour. And then eventually another Spanish speaking show also bought an hour after me. And so now they had two reasons to stop by. So I don't think that, the commercial station might not want it as a regular programming, but if you're paying them, I think we paid $300 an hour or something. And yes, it was a crazy hour, whatever else, but it was still, we had our audience. We developed that. The second thing that you guys said, I forget what it was. Commercial stations, trust.
Trust, yeah.
Yeah. So the trust issue for me is trust can be granted and even lost, but it doesn't mean it's gone forever. For me, trust. If we had, for example, an ESL class, and people from the class, we filmed it, and people were asking genuine questions, and we had a content expert to answer them, I think that trust gets built by the fact that we have face validity. There are people in there that are genuine, they're real, and they're asking a question that is relevant to them, which might be relevant to other people in the room, in the virtual room, rather than just the physical room.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings back to, would we run an ESL class and would we get students? I think there's still a great need for ESL in the area, and so
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are some really good ones out there, but yeah, there's always more need. So I volunteer at a class that meets at Stratton on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Stratton, in the evening. It's for parents, for adults, and then they have a program for the kids. So they get a meal, the kids get a program, and the adults get ESL. And they also try, I think part of the grant for doing the class also entails that they need to get a certain amount of community education. So they'll have people from the fire department or the, whatever, park district come and talk to them about the services that they have and all that. It's primarily, the students are primarily Concobo speaking Guatemalans. Most of them speak some Spanish. And sometimes there's a translator. Sometimes Mateo's there to translate. But I think the long-term plans, this is very unofficial, and I'm not in the planning commission or the planning part of it at all, but I think the long-term goal is that they can move it closer to Shadowwood, where most of the students are, to make it much more accessible. But yeah, in that class, they do some community information stuff.
So I could see us helping that group get closer to their goal, and us then figuring the fact that they'll do the ESL part and we can do the community ed part. I can also see, because right in front of Shadowwood is the Martin Center, which is Champaign Parks. And so whether they were willing to help or not, they've certainly been willing to help with Sena y Ciencias, the Spanish science.
And I think that's exactly what they're eyeing.
Yeah. And so if they go there, and the Martin Center is going to naturally, rightfully, want to charge for the time and their room, it's cost them like $20 million to build it. So it deserves to be balanced somehow.
Right.
But either that gets written to the grant, or we would look for money to buy that space so that we could complement
Yeah.
and make our contribution to the organization. So
Right. So currently it's the grant for the class is split three ways. It's Project Read, Stratton School, and the Douglas Library, which they come and bring kids books. And
So
Stratton.
there's space, there's content, and then there's literacy.
Yeah. And so I think Project Read is the primary person or organization. So yeah.
Well, so in to bring it up a notch then as to policy and education, the governor was re-inaugurated today. Given the last 4 years of him as governor, there has been plenty of help from the state government during this period, and we can anticipate that he's not going to change his direction.
Yeah.
Therefore, it seems to me like it's not a bad idea for us to put something together with partners. I don't believe in reinventing. I'd rather have a partner do it and work with a partner than to start from scratch. Support them, support their existence so they can continue doing it even when we can't. But supply either know-how or something that I work on another place, just the ideas. What is the need out there, and how can we justify asking for money to what problem can we solve is a question that is often in grant writing rooms. And so if we can identify and link the pieces together as to this, these are the parts that are needed, we can provide number two, and this is the profile of number one and number three that somebody else can fulfill. When we had USCIS money to run English classes at Urbana Adult Ed, the NAC, New American Welcome Center, was very new, and we were living under the initial impetus, which was let's not take over anybody else's funder. Let's find new funds to do the things that still need to be done. And we only fill the cracks that are needed to join the whole thing. And so Adult Ed already did ESL classes. They should be in charge of the ESL. We'll be in charge of the recruitment, and we'll be in charge of guiding them towards citizenship. And that USCIS money was one under that guise, and it developed under that. We're probably in our 4th year of that and renewal. But there is going to be monies. There is going to be monies also for like Cunningham Children's Home has got to mainstream those young people into the community. And I think we're positioned to help that along. Even if we don't receive the money, we just want the good to be done, right? So.
And of course, there's other places besides Shadowswood. There's Ivanhoe Estates, and I don't know how many other places that have a pretty high percentage of immigrants.
Yeah.
In them.
One thing that was done in Springfield with a welcoming center is that they just either rent or they bought a trailer in the trailer park, and then dispense their services from there. Because then people can just walk down the street, which I thought was really innovative. They turned it into a little office, and they have masks and everything else so when they walk in. But when needed, they put a tent outside when the weather's good, and they do stuff outside, community programming, which I thought was, great idea. I just saw a trailer for $5,000. in grants itself, 5K is not that much.
Yeah.
So
True.
anyway, I see Mr. Garza calling time and saying it's
Yeah, been about an hour almost.
okay. Well,
These are good ideas, though. I think we should continue with this for
we
sure.
should. Things are coming up, and maybe that's the part that is any listeners out there.
Hmm.
Come join us. Let's
Yeah.
figure out how to take care of some of these issues, because there's plenty more
Plenty.
that we can get to. So
Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
thank you,
Always
Mr. Garza.
appreciated. It's fun and informative. I hope it is fun and informative for our audience as well.
Yes,
Or
I
one
hope
or
so.
the other. At least one of the two, if not both.
Well, it's serving us all three, and Carolyn is a great impetus. She's a great person of the team because she doesn't
Yes.
let us slip.
That's true.
She provides that traction, and
I'm
then
just
after
I'm just an added information person. I'm not the idea person.
It's very useful.
it is. It
And
takes
much
in this case
appreciated.
3 of us. We are now celebrating what, our 5th or 6th show, Mr. Garza? I don't keep track, but
I haven't kept track either. It
okay.
depends on how you count them, because the UPTV is 2 half-an-hour shows for every one full show. So I have no idea.
I did have a friend come up to me not too long ago. She's like, I saw you on TV the other night. And I said, you watch UPTV? She goes, my husband does. And he was like, we know her. What's her name? What's her name?
Yeah,
So at least
Her
one
name is
person.
you.
yeah.
Her name is you, Carolyn.
You.
That's what your screen says.
No, my name's you.
On my screen, yeah, I'm you.
I'm you too.
I'm you as well. We're all you.
So we're in YouTube.
You on YouTube. Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well,
Okay.
have a great night, a great week.
Thanks.
We won't be having then CU Immigration Forum tomorrow.
Right.
That was
Just
my
to
assumption.
clarify amongst ourselves.
Hmm.
This will come way after, but at least in January, the 10th, the 9th, the 10th, we won't have the forum.
Right.
Let the record show that we did it with the temperatures going down.
Do we have
Yeah.
something on the Facebook page that says in lieu of the forum connected to this program?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a good idea.
that is
I'll
a
do
good
that
idea.
right now before I go away, so that'll work.
And
Okay.
and Lisa will also be gone for February, so I'll send out a reminder.
Send me a quick link, Mr. Garza. Do you have one for the YouTube right now? That I can grab? I'll
No.
just go to YouTube, but and see which ones have been
I
published.
did
Yeah, I
find
don't have one.
somewhere kind of a chronological listing of them, which I'd been looking for a long time. I think I bookmarked it.
More information.
I'll send it to you if I find it.
Okay.
I'm gonna start working on that. All right. Have a great
Okay.
week.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.